Hey, we back. I'm here talking about a new bot for once. This is big. As you can tell by the title of the video, we are talking about Karuta, which is here. It has a nice profile picture, and it is a card collecting bot, which is kind of similar to mudae, so I'll be making a lot of comparisons between the two in the video. This is a bot that I've actually not been using too long, but like the epic and cool tutorial maker that I am, I've obviously mastered all of its intricacies immediately, and I'm here to explain them all to you. This is a bit of an introduction to the bot. I'm going to briefly go over all of the features that I think you'll need to get yourself started, get yourself collecting some cards and other such things, and then there will be a bunch of follow-up videos to this where I will go over the more advanced features in more detail, so you actually know how to use everything. For now, I'm just going to kind of tell you what exists and what you actually need to know to get started. So we'll start off right away with all of the commands that you expect to exist, and they do what you expect them to do. I will note that the prefix for this bot is by default K!, but pretty much everyone just changes it to K for some reason. I mean, it makes sense, so we're just going to go with that. Prefix is K. I'm also going to mention that we have three initial currencies. There's other stuff as well later on, but for now there's three that we're going to talk about. That is gold, tickets, and gems. Gold is the general currency, tickets is a fancy currency, and gems is the premium currency. I will bring them up variously and talk about them in different aspects, and just remember those three names in your head. That's your three currencies, pretty much. So we'll start off with some commands that you'll all be familiar for. We have K daily. This gets you some gold, about 100 and 150 a day, something like that. We also have K vote, which is where you vote for the bot. This gets you tickets, double on the weekend, same as OWOBot if you use that one. We also have monthly, which you can guess what it does, but actually isn't in most bots. This is an interesting one, actually. I'm going to run this one. This one gives you a reward per month based on how many times you voted. You can vote once every 12 hours, so that means you're going to be voting maximum of about 60 votes per month. I've voted so far 5 times in April because it's quite close to the start of April, and you get different rewards. This can be all manner of things, so I won't go over what you can get in monthly rewards. It'll be a nice surprise at the end of the month, assuming you've voted enough times. Right, so what are we here for? We're here for getting cards. How do you get cards? You get cards by dropping them and then grabbing them. If I type KCD, which is short for cooldown, we have grab and drop. Grab is your cooldown for claiming a card. This happens once every 10 minutes. Drop is your rolls if you use mudae. This is putting commands into the channel that you or anyone else can claim, and that has a half-hour cooldown. Note that the grab cooldown is actually lower than the drop cooldown, so you can just keep claiming cards all the time without any particular hindrance. It's always good to claim stuff, so as the first tip I will tell you, just claim all the time, pretty much, if you can. That's not to say claim garbage all the time, because of course you may end up missing something good, but in general, just make sure you keep claiming as much as possible. I can't give you an example of a drop, because this is not the first time that I've attempted to record this video, because I am smart. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to search in here, and we can find an example previously where I had this one. For instance, I dropped 3 cards and it tells us the 3 here. It's a picture, we can click on them. It's going to have buttons underneath, either reactions or buttons, and you can pick one and then you can claim it. I picked the first one here, which it then told me the name of the character here, the series that they're in here, and it told me it was in good condition. Now these numbers mean various things. What we have the print number. This is just how many cards exist for that character. So this one particularly has 18,500. Nothing impressive. Lower numbers are normally better because it means not many of the card exists. That makes it rare. Then we also have edition number. The edition number just changes the picture. So we could have the same character but with a different picture. That would be edition 2 or 3 or whatever. Currently there are 4 editions. Not all characters will have 4 editions. editions, especially since edition 4 is still releasing currently, but more editions may be added in the future for many different characters, I am sure. So yeah, the edition will also change the border. These three are all edition 1s, as you can tell by the simple borders. If I scroll up to some other drops, there we go, we can see an edition 2 here has a slightly different border, and also yellow, and you can see it has a 2. So that's what's important there. As for each card that you get, they will have a quality. As you can see, I was claiming some good ones there, which have 2 stars. If I put KC, we can see all my cards that exist, and we can see a bunch of information about them. So we have the print number here, we have the edition here, and then we also have some stars. This shows how good the quality of the card is. So for example, if I have a look KV showing a card, that's short for KView, we can see this one is in mint condition, looks very nice. Whereas if I look at this one with only 1 star, you can see that it looks kind of scuffed up a little bit. This is mint. This is poor condition. If I found one with 0 stars, I'm sure there's one in here somewhere, that would look even more scuffed up. So generally you want them to be higher stars. There is benefits to low stars, but generally high stars is what you want. That's the good stuff right there. Then we also have the card code. This just shows which card it is. That's like an ID of that particular card. Of course, you can have multiple cards with the same character. This is what the print number is for. So this is just a unique identifier for that particular card. So at the stage we're currently at, you're putting your drop in every half an hour, you're claiming every 10 minutes or so, as much as you can. How do you know when to be doing this? I've mentioned KCD already. We have also KRM, which is going to give you some reminders. You can set these up to ping you whenever the timer is done. We've mentioned daily and vote. We also have mentioned drop and grab, and then work and visit we'll get to later. I have reminders for vote and drop personally, but you can set them up however you like. Another thing that can ping you is wishes. If I put K-wish, the same as mudae, you can wish for characters that you want to be pinged for when they drop. And you can set a channel, KWW, to ping you when they drop in a certain channel. So if I put that here, it would ping me when the character dropped in this channel, not in any other channel. You can only have one channel that pings you in. So you have to pick probably your most active server for your wishes to be pinged in. You get 10 wish slots, and I've set mine up there. You can upgrade that with K-Wish upgrade here, and that will cost you a bit of gold, which we've mentioned, and get you 1 extra wishlist slot. And you can keep upgrading that. I believe the amount of gold it costs will keep going up. So yeah, there you go. Kind of nice. We also finally have what I'm going to mention in this section is the K-Ticket Shop, which allows you to spend your tickets, which you get from voting, on various things, mainly the extra grab and the extra drop. Extra grab, pretty good. That's like an RT in mudae. Means that if something epic drops and you've used up your cooldown, you can get it. Extra drop, not as good, mainly if you want to grind out a bunch of drops in one go, kind of like a US in mudae. That could be kind of nice. And bandages we might talk about later, but probably not anyway. So ignore those ones for now. Just the top 2 is what matters. But yeah, so that's getting cards. You're now getting a lot of cards. You've probably got quite a big collection in your KC. Maybe you want to organize it a bit. Now I'm now going to talk about tags. Tags are there to help you organize. Creating a tag with KTA. Let's get the help up for that actually. So we can do tag add, TA, TC, tag create, whatever. This will be tag name and then an emoji. So the emoji for this one, for example, is fire, and I have that is called cook. And I use this one to label all of the cards that I'm going to burn, which I'll get to later. Burning is kind of like divorcing in mudae. Tags are kind of like notes in mudae. I said I would make a lot of comparisons. This is me doing it. You can also make tags for whatever, if you want to tag like your favorite characters, your epic waifus, whatever, you know. So tags are pretty helpful. To apply a tag, you just do KT, then the tag that you want to put. So for example, my cook one, and then I could put the ID of that card in here. That will apply the tag. So very nice. Also worth mentioning that all of these cards, we got KV and KT and all the rest of it, defaults to the last one you claimed. So if I want to label the last one that I claimed to be Cook, I can just type that command and it's going to label the last one that I claimed, which is pretty nice. I could also do KV and that will display the last card that I claimed, which is that one that I showed earlier. Alright, we next have some more sorting. mudae has a nice little flags list, which unfortunately does not exist in Karuta, which is unfortunate. So I made a little thing here. You're welcome to pause it and read the whole thing if you like. This is just a bunch of kind of like flags for sorting and ordering your collection. As you can see, let's say I want to order by descending print number all cards with wish list of less than 10, quality poor or better, tagged with burn. I put that in and it looks like a bit of a mess, but you'll get used to it. Everyone just uses the shortened versions because it's way too much text otherwise, but I'm pretty sure this is all the methods of sorting, so there you go. It's also worth mentioning that albums exist in the K shop, which has a bunch of items that you can buy with gold. We have the trade license, for example, and we also have the work permit, which we'll get to later. You can also trade in dust for other dust, but I want to mention albums because they're just kind of a cosmetic thing that you can buy if you like, where you can display your cards if you want to flex. So that's that. Alright, next, we haven't talked about gems yet. This is the only currency that I have not mentioned, so I'm going to mention gems quickly. We have K gems. Gems, as I said, is the premium currency. You can buy gems if you want for real money, or alternatively, you can trade players for gems. Most players will accept like tickets for gems or something like that, and of course you can get tickets by voting, so getting gems as a free-to-play is perfectly reasonable. The conversion rate varies. Go and find people to trade with, basically. This will give you many buffs though, because we have the K gem shop here, where you can buy dies, frame boxes, ink, a bunch of stuff. You don't know what it does. I don't really know what it does either. I'm kidding, we'll get to it later. But also, there's a bunch of buffs. So, for example, this one here applies a blessing for 30 days, which cuts your grab cooldown in half. Not so great in my opinion, because grab cooldown is already 10 minutes. But hey, if you're planning on grabbing a lot of things, sure, go for it. There's a lot of these buffs in here. They all cost a reasonable amount of gems. They all last for 30 days. Some of them are better than others. Buy them if you want to. Gems can also be used for a bunch of other stuff, as can all the other currencies. Speaking of other currencies, there is another method to get gold that we have not mentioned yet. That is the burning of cards. So we have KB, which is short for K burn, and I can burn a card. Once again, it's going to default to my most recent claimed card, which is this one. And if I burnt this one, I would get 5 gold and 1 dust. You will always get 1 dust. The quality of the dust changes though, so since this card is good quality, I will get a good dust, 2 stars. If I burnt a mint card, I would get a mint dust. If I burnt a damaged card, I would get a damaged dust, etc. I'd also get some gold. But we may have talked about gold before. What is dust for though? You can trade dust in the shop, you get dust for burning cards. How do you use dust? Well, you can upgrade cards. That's what dust is for. We upgrade cards with the K up command, once again defaulting to my most recent card. It's going to cost me some dust and some gold. The dust is going to be the level above where the card currently is. You know this card is good, so to upgrade it from good to excellent will cost 5 excellent dust. It has a 60% chance of succeeding. If it doesn't succeed, it will not change. However, the higher you upgrade a card, the lower it can fall by failing the upgrade. So for example, if I upgraded this to excellent and then upgraded it to mint, if it failed the upgrade to mint, it would go all the way back down to good again. So you want to try and upgrade cards, not too much. But equally, upgrading cards is pretty nice because then they look good. They don't look damaged anymore, which is great. Yay! So yeah, there's that. There's a bunch of other ways to spend dust. You can have the background shop for your albums, for example. We also have the black market, which I'm not going to talk about all that much, but I will show you that it exists. You can buy cards for gems, and you can buy cards for dust. So there you go. Black market exists. I will let you explore that one as you will. However, we are moving on to the next big part of the bot, which is work. Work is complicated, as a lot of other things are, so don't worry about it too much, but you probably want to set up a job board here with KJB. You can put 5 cards in your job board. You're probably going to want to put some pretty good cards in here. Ones with high effort values. We've not talked about effort yet, but it is another stat on the card. If you want, you can go and have a look at your collection. You can order by effort, and then you can see this one has 190, this one has 105, this one also has 105, etc. And you can put these into your job board, which is very nice. By sending these off to work, you will get bits. My ones are currently working on wax, so I get wax bits. Bits I'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, basically you put some good cards in here. The effort value is calculated off a lot of things. We can have a look at a card, for example, with this command, I believe, to see how good they are as a worker. They all have a base value, which depends off how much they're wished and the quality of the card and a bunch of other stuff. We also have wellness, purity, quickness. I don't even know what all of this means. Dropper and grabber is easy to figure out because that's whether you drop the card and whether you grab the card. But yeah, in general, the higher these are, the more bits they will get when you send them off to work. We have KN, so you can determine where you want to send them. We have, I'm going to put the help commands for all of this stuff now. We have, for example, JW, where you can assign a card to a job slot on your job board. And you have JN, which is for assigning a job slot on your job board to one of these nodes. There's a lot of commands in the work. There's also all of these stats here: power, tax, workers. There's clans that take over and set the tax. It's kind of complicated. I would say in general, all that complicated stuff, just don't worry about it, because it doesn't matter too much. All you want to do is just assign some good cards to your job board, and then once every 12 hours you can send them off to work and get some bits. You're going to want to apply them to whatever node has the least amount of tax at the time, but be careful because they can get injured at work, and if they get injured, their effort value is going to plummet. You will not want to have them be working while injured, so do be careful of that. There's no way to avoid injured. There's bandages that we mentioned earlier, and there's the affection system, which we'll get to later. But basically, just send them off to work, and if they're injured, cry, replace them. They only get injured for like a few weeks, so it's no huge problem. Anyway, that's work. What are we doing with the bits that we get? Well, we have the frame shop. K Frame Shop or KFS, where you can buy frames for your cards. You can imagine the picture goes here, the number goes here, etc. Cool frames. Here we have the Aztec Jungle Temple. The first frame in each frame shop costs gems, but after that they're all going to cost bits. So this one, for example, here costs some copper bits and some zinc bits. You can look through these. There's 68 of them currently. They definitely need to add another one, I know. And then once you've got enough bits, you can buy whichever frame you like here. They will cost different amounts of different bits. So have a look through there, pick a frame that you like, you can apply it to your card. Cosmetics! It's also worth noting that if you have a frame on your card, it actually increases their effort value for their work. So the more bits you get, the more frames, and then the more bits you get. Fantastic. We also have K-Morph here. Let's put the help thing in, shall we? Morph, where you spend 250 bits to morph a card, changing its appearance randomly. So it's just more cosmetic stuff. Again, that's going to increase its effort value, and it also doesn't matter which bit type you actually put in there. They're all the same. So you can morph cards. It's more cosmetic stuff. It's a collection game. Of course, there's a lot of cosmetic stuff. So speaking of frames as well, it's worth noting that frames are free to apply to a card. They're also free to replace if you want to swap one out, but they are not free to remove. They cost gems. So make sure when you're applying a frame, you apply it to a character that you definitely want to have a frame later on. Or alternatively, you might have to go and make another frame. If you're just doing the bit frames, not a huge problem. If you're doing the gem frames, maybe it's a problem. Frames are also way more complicated than this. There will be another video on frames where I'll talk about them separately. For now, just remember that they look cool, they increase effort, and that's about all there is to it. There is also dies, which is the same deal. If we have a look in the K gem shop where we can spend gems, remember I mentioned dies here, you can use K use to use a die and roll it to see which die you get. You also have K dies to see all the dies that you own, and then to die a card you can use K die, then the card code, so whatever, and then die code, which seem to always have a $sign at the start, and you can die a card. Funnily enough, the dies change the color. I'm sure you're not surprised about that. The same as frames. They are a lot more complicated than this, and they will be having another video separately, and also the same as frames. Just remember that they look cool and they increase effort values, so that's pretty nice, I suppose. In general, it's just cosmetics, so once again, have fun with that later on when you feel like you have loads of gems. Making your cards look nice. I'm sure as you play the bot you will see plenty of other people with epic and cool looking cards that do not look anything like the cards that I have here, the cards you may have when you start off, because they will put loads of gems and all manner of other things currency wise into these things to make them look fancy, and you can do the same once you get the resources for it. So what's next? The last thing on our list. I said earlier the affection system. The affection system is probably the most complicated one, and we are going over it very briefly, so bear with me. But it is another thing that affects effort. The higher affection you have, the higher effort you will get. Your affection is based on, I believe, the character rather than the card. So suppose you've got a duplicate card. I'm pretty sure the affection will be the same for both of them, although feel free to correct me on that. And you can visit a card to increase their affection. So for example, if I put KVI, which is short for visit, into here, it will visit the last card that I visited, which is Ryuzu here. I cannot interact with the Ryuzu currently, unfortunately, because I have been recently rejected. Oh no, I'm still pretty garbage at the dating mini game, which does indeed exist, and we're not talking about it now. We will talk about the dating mini game another day. But what I will mention is that we have energy. You can spend energy to talk to your character, and you basically answer questions about them in the series. Try and impress them with your knowledge. You know, some of the questions are reasonably random, but the responses are based on what other people in the bot answered for them. So just go with what sounds the most right, and you'll probably get some points. We have affection rating and affection points. When you answer questions, you will get both. Your affection rating will go up, and your affection points will also go up. Your affection rating is just kind of what the character currently thinks of you. You can see I am friendly with Ryuzu here. My affection rating is maxed out. That is until I go on a date. The max is 200. The max without a date is 80. So I will get Ryuzu up to 200 soon enough, I am sure. And then we have affection points. You spend affection points in order to do other actions, which will be in a different menu. And I'm sure you can figure that out. There's like hug and stuff, which is just epic. I think you can tell jokes too. So there you go. And by doing those actions, it'll tell you what they do. Most of them just change your affection rating, but yeah, it'll tell you what they do when you go on them. When you start approaching 200, you can also become a Koibito, which gives epic and cool powers. You'll probably see the word Koibito thrown around a lot because it's kind of cool. When you look up a character, which I actually didn't mention this command, KLU, you can look up a character. It's going to tell you who their Koibito is. I'm not in a server with this person, so it looks like that, but yeah, there you go. That's their Koibito, and that's kind of like, imagine they're married, right? If I get a high enough affection rating, I can try and steal the Koibito from them and become Ryuzu's Koibito, and it gives you a bunch of cool powers that I will not go into now. Just remember that it's cool. there will be a separate video on this. If you want to aim for Koibitos, then you can do, but it is worth mentioning that you can only visit one character every 2 hours. So there is a pretty hard limit on how many characters you can get Koibito on, because eventually someone will come and try and snipe it from you by getting higher affection rating than you. Also, one thing that I didn't mention is that you get 1 energy per hour, and it costs energy to do things like talk. So keep an eye out for those 2 cooldowns. They are going to be limiting your ability to get affection rating on characters. So yeah, there you go. In general, I would advise you to visit people that you know about so you can answer the questions. If you think that you'll be keeping a card a long time, then that makes sense as well. Because the affection rating does increase your effort, then that means that it's worth visiting people that you think you're going to be using in work, people that you want to get Koibito on, like whatever. But at the same time, you won't manage to visit too many people at once, so just pick a couple that you like and go for visiting them. Personally, I'm at the moment just visiting Ryuzu because she's pretty much the only character I have that I really like. Also worth mentioning, though, that you can only visit characters that you grabbed. So, for example, I do have a Rem, which is very cool, but I did not grab the Rem. I was given the Rem by a very kind person on my server, and so I cannot visit my Rem, which is unfortunate. So yeah, make sure that you are grabbing stuff. Of course, trading is cool, but you want to grab stuff so that you can visit them and do cool things with them. Anyway, that's pretty much all of the functionalities in the bot that matter for new players. You've got your claiming of your cards, you've got your dropping of your cards, work, visits, and then just a bunch of shops and currencies. I think that's pretty much everything. This video, as I kind of expected, is a little long, so I'm sorry about that, but that's what happens when I try and explain an entire bot. There will be a bunch of follow-ups, as I said. So check my channel in the future to see all of those other epic and cool videos where I will talk about things like the dating game in more detail, and you can see what's up with that. For now, I hope you enjoy your Karuta. I hope you have fun. Yeah, we'll see what happens. There's a lot of Karuta videos on YouTube, so if you're still unsure, feel free to go and watch those. It doesn't have to be my videos. Despite being a much smaller bot than mudae, it has way more videos, so there's plenty of opportunity for you to learn stuff on there. But hopefully my video was good enough. Let me know if you have any other things that I should mention, and yeah, I'll leave this one here. Bye!